Haha! That's my Joker impression. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Cybernetic Séance Podcast. That's a way to warm up your speakers there. If you guys are trying to tune in here live. Welcome, everyone. I am your host, Ryan Laney, aka Ryan Frankenstein, aka Nexus, aka your mom, aka your dad, aka your grandpa, aka your baby brother. Welcome to the show, guys. This is a glorious episode 10. I didn't think I would get here, and guess what? Episode 10, and it's still a shit show. That's pretty cool. It's a really cool episode we got here today. As you guys all know, I'm going to get some of this plugging out of the way, some of this butt plugging out of the way. We have something really cool coming up, but I am terrible at speaking for it. So let's just let this visual motif do it for you.
October 31st, Our Frankenstein comes to your home. We are happy to announce the Hypercult Halloween live stream show, broadcasting directly from the Bubonic Corp warehouse. This global event will be streaming exclusively on our YouTube channel.
That's right, folks. Our Frankenstein is playing in your living room this Halloween, and I don't want to hear the excuse of, I can't make it to this show, man. I'll come to the next one, you know? You can restream it anytime. Time is relative. You know, it's kind of all in our head. Speaking of time being relative and all in our head, our guest today is the fabulous Justin Symbol. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring this old boy in. Woo, here's our fake audience clap. Yay! I
have a guest too here.
Oh, shit.
Bandit.
Oh, hell yeah. Who's this?
This is Bandit.
Bandit, nice to meet you, man. Is this a lady or a boy? I'm so sorry. I don't mean to.
A boy, very much a boy.
Oh, ooh.
Wait, actually, what do you identify as? Oh, wait, no, he ran away. He's a boy.
Shit.
And this
man,
is
well, that's cute, man. How long ago did you get that?
A year ago.
Man. Okay. That's so cute. I'm actually at my girlfriend's house right now, cat sitting for her cats. I wanna grab Nala, one of her cats, right now, but she looks like she's enjoying herself right now, laying in the sun, and I don't want to disturb her. So if she comes around here later in the stream, maybe.
He's a camera whore, just like his dad. So as soon as the camera's rolling, he likes to run in and be the center of attention.
I love cats, man. Ever since I've been around my girlfriend's cats, man, I've been a total cat person. It just transformed me.
Yeah, cats are like. Basically, like the way I see it is, he's not my pet. I'm like his human, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm a guest in this household, but they tolerate me.
Right, and it's their territory.
They allow me,
right,
to be in their presence, and I think that's because I'm a narcissist, and I see that I'm the same way with people, so maybe I relate to that.
Yeah, no, that's why cats love us.
Exactly. But my man, if I'm going to tell you one thing, since I started doing this podcast maybe a few months ago, you're the top person people have been wanting me to get on the show. everyone, like almost every week I get a comment or something, some
Me.
sort of notification, and people are like, get Justin on the show. Get Justin on the show. Why haven't you put him on the show yet? I'm like,
That's because they want to see Bandit.
that's probably it, honestly. What's up, man? So I want to know. So for the guys who out here who don't know, which is weird because a lot of your fans are my fans, but let's just play dumb here for a lot of the people who don't know who you are. Who are you? What do you do?
I'm Justin Symbol. I am in a simulation. And I'm the singer of the God Bombs. And before the God Bombs, I was me. I was Justin Symbol. And then I was Star Daddy also, which was interesting.
Cool. Hey, man, I like that shit too, man. There's no hate here.
Yeah, no, I've had an arc of characters, and I've been back to the God Bombs. We started the God Bombs in 2018 with it was a trio at that time, and then version 2.0 was during the pandemic. Myself and Nola Star, and a drummer named Byron Alvarez and Ryan Lynch on guitar, and that was like the 2.0 lineup. And now this is like the third sort of incarnation of the God Bombs, which is primarily centered around me and Ricky Rubinson.
Okay. Shout out Ricky Rubinson, who's just the GOAT everywhere.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've known him. You know what's crazy is I've been doing music with him. The first person I ever did music with was him in high school.
Everything makes full circle then.
Yeah. It came really full circle. But yeah, I've been touring since 2014, and that's how we met. Was I toured opening for William Control in 2014 on the Punishment tour.
God,
and Ryan showed up with a painting of me, and I was like stunned because I was like, who the fuck? No one knows. Like, how does anyone even know who I am? You know, but I had worked with Daisy Berkowitz, which is the co-founder of Marilyn Manson. And I think that I had gained some notoriety at that time from that. And so, you know, I was pleasantly surprised. Like, a few people knew me on that tour, and you were one of them. And
yeah, I was really, really into Voidhead, and I wanted to like encapsulate like Voidhead in like your face. You know, like it was like a random watercolor painting, but I wanted to like encapsulate the chaos of the album through just a visual representation of your face.
I think that's like the most accurate representation that anyone's ever done, because you can see the anxiety, the inner craziness, and the angst, and the two eyes are like different sizes, and I love that. It's like all jittery looking because I'm always moving. If anyone knows me, it's like I'm always moving. And I actually made that like one of the first Justin Symbol shirts was that painting that you did.
Yeah, I was actually really inspired off of that image from The Thing. If you ever seen that, the painting of like the two faces from the original Thing, of like it's like this crazy like agonizing like person, like their faces are being split.
Oh, John Carpenter, yeah.
Like I was part, cool. Yeah, that was the big inspiration. But like listening to that album was just like, it was such a cold album. I kept like thinking back to The Thing, you know, because it's in the fucking snow.
Right. Yeah. Though the album, the theme of it was like I said in the first song, like snowflakes are identical, stab you with this icicle. It was like that cold energy and like that blue album cover. And like, I love that people associate that coldness because that was totally the goal.
Fuck yeah, man.
Yeah.
So you got a new project coming out.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So we have the new album called Simulation, and it's a 7-song album, and it's all music that I wrote when I was in like a deep depression and just really in a dark place, trying to get my life together. I had been in a 2-year relationship, coming out of a relationship with Nola Star, and, you know, just kind of facing like life, and, you know, we all went through craziness with the pandemic, and just everyone's trying to find themselves. I think trying to find their purpose and their identity in a world where it's increasingly like in question, what is the point of human beings anymore? It's like we have this technology, everyone's celebrating this technology, but in the back of our minds, I think we're also thinking like, okay, but the technology is like better than we are. Like what purpose do we serve here? You know? So I think there was a lot of existential questions going through my mind. And I was also studying Kabbalah and thinking about like the fact that I do believe reality is in a sense a simulation where we're constantly being tested and forced to either evolve or kind of like hit some kind of painful bottoming out experience where like we have to wake up to new harsh realities. And everyone had that recently with everything that's gone on in the past few years. We've all kind of been forced to wake up a little bit and kind of like evaluate life differently. So we did we just started jamming, me and Ricky Rubinson. He came over with synths and samplers and stuff. And, you know, it's definitely a stoner album. So for all my stoners out there, I feel like the last two records were definitely influenced by me partaking a little bit in Little Mary Jane.
I'll join you, my friend.
Yeah.
Thanks, YouTube, for demonetizing me another time. But, you know, what else is new?
Yeah. No, we can put like a logo, a God Bombs logo over this. But you know, it also like the album, it's basically just jamming, stream of consciousness. Like we literally just hung out in my living room. I have all this crazy altar and this weird setup here with like weird esoteric shit everywhere. And we just kind of like made weird esoteric music that was speaking to us. I feel like it was like the darkest psyche of our souls in a lot of sense, because also Ricky was coming out of an 8-year relationship, and that was really difficult for him. I mean, he was basically married and had gone through a really tough breakup. He was living alone for the first time. You know, so we really just spewed it all out, all the feelings, and also a weird theme kind of emerged of like someone losing touch with reality and just like becoming a total sociopath, a total psychopath, and like saying, fuck it, like fuck society. Nothing's real anyway. I'm going to go off the deep end and just completely fucking snap. And like, I think that was like me kind of giving a voice to a part of myself that I never want to be in reality. You know, it's like you have a safe space to put that in your art. And so it's like really dark and disturbing album. And I don't know, we're giving like, we're trying to make visuals for it that really articulate like what it's all about. So the new video Simulation is coming out, which is the title track. It's coming out October 14th, directed and shot by Jason Kaplan, who I worked with for some of the stuff on the last album, like the God is a Dominatrix video and the End of the World video also. Okay. So it's some people that are, you know, Angel Nightmare was involved a little bit in the album, just in the very final stages, though. It really was mostly, I recorded and produced it all myself. I played bass on all of it. It's you know, it was a new experience. I needed a new experience coming out of all this stuff that had happened. And I think people are going to be like, whoa, what the fuck? It's definitely the most industrial album since Voidhead. I would say it's more industrial than Voidhead is.
I would say so. I had, you know, you gave me the opportunity to pre-listen. And I can say like there's definitely a Throbbing Gristle influence in there for sure.
Yeah, it's like real industrial, not like
yeah. Not as fucking
PNG Nation, like it's fucking fucked up, like old OG industrial music, which is like one of the main influences that I always loved growing up. I was an OG head from the beginning. Mm-hmm. When I discovered this genre, I started off right because I had like the Cleopatra DVD box set.
Shit, yeah.
And he had like Throbbing Gristle and Psychic TV and Einstürzen, Neubauen and stuff. So I think Coil also. So I was like, whoa, this is like, it's like you felt like you were on drugs, tripping on acid, even if you weren't. When you saw it, it was so underground and so different than like everything that I was hearing on the radio. And so I kind of returned to the roots, I think. And like Ricky Rubinson also really brought that out, because I had turned him on to Throbbing Gristle, and he was like listening to it nonstop. And I was like, really? You like this shit? Like, I was kind of surprised, because growing up, he's like a lighthearted guy, but he's so deep at the same time and has so many layers to him. And then so,
of course.
Yeah. And like, we really just vibed on this industrial shit. And it's very psychedelic. I realized that industrial is really influenced by also Pink Floyd. Like I read the book of the girl from Throbbing Gristle, Cozy Fanny Tootie.
Yes.
She talked about like how they basically invented all the trends that are popular now. They were sex workers and musicians at the same time, and they put their sex work into their art, and they were like open about the fact that they were sex workers. They were like using porn in their art. They were non-binary. They were like, they literally, the whole they them thing, like Genesis Peorage is like the originator of that, kind of with the whole Pandrogyny project and everything. So I kind of like wanted to honor that in a weird way, like honor the forefather of this.
Yeah, of course. And you have to, it's almost, you gotta, what's the term? You gotta like honor the sort of the god, you light a candle at the temple sort of thing. And that's
because Genesis passed away. Actually, Genesis and Sleazy from Throbbing Gristle passed away. And I met Genesis in New York early on. I was still drinking. It was like before I was anybody at all. I was just like an aspiring young musician, drunk. I was smoking a Newport cigarette, and I was at the Throbbing Gristle concert because they reunited in like the 2010 or whatever, and Genesis was out in the back in the alleyway, and I was like smoking a cigarette and walking, and then all of a sudden I see a figure in the darkness and like hunched over, and I was like, and it was Genesis like in some like crazy dress, and I was like, Genesis Peorage, and they were like, yes, and I was like, and then I was smoking the cigarette, and they were like, I don't smoke, and I was like, oh yeah, I know, but like I do. And they were like, no, I don't smoke. Don't blow that shit in my face. And I was like, oh fuck. Like, and they were so badass and so fucking like old school punk rock, and like just like from a different era. It was like a wizard.
Yeah. Yeah. Someone just completely out of this world.
And I was asking them about industrial, and I was like, what do you think about like all these bands that took your industrial sounds and kind of like what they, how it made it more commercial, or, like 9 Inch Nails and all this stuff. And Genesis was like, oh, they become obsessed with different aspects of the sound, and they change, they've done their own thing, but we're the real thing. And I was like, you are the real thing. And I kind of like went back to it, and I was like, TG is the shit, because like half of their music is just jams, and it's like influenced by that early Pink Floyd shit, because they were like doing acid and going to Pink Floyd concerts and shit. And like that early industrial stuff was very stream of consciousness oriented. So I was like, how can we jam, and how can we be more spontaneous? And even like our set recently at Wasteland Weekend, half of it was like live jamming and off the cuff, and then the other half of it was like the songs.
Okay.
And the songs themselves are even developed from jams. So it's like kind of going back to the roots of industrial.
It's almost very, classic rock in a sense. It's just a more electronic format.
Right. It's like what my equivalent of that, of like going more old school would be. This would be my equivalent, but of course, it sounds really fucking abrasive though. It's like fucked up and staticky and buzzing and shit, because we're using analog synths, we're using like real synths, and everything's live. Pretty much it all came from jams, and then we just like added shit later on and kind of edited it, and like we're like, okay, like let's kind of add this little section here, or like maybe take this part out because it's unnecessary, and just kind of like make like a loose structure for it. But it's not like your typical pop songwriting structure.
With that being said, on loose editing, I wanted to make a little point here, because we're going to transition into a music video here, because we do play music on this channel, ladies and gentlemen, folks. But with that being said, we're going to play Bad Man But I think people here who are tuning into this show specifically are going to have a unique listening experience. But tell me why, Justin.
Oh, yeah. So this version of Batman is with guitar and fully fleshed out. This is the album version. I'm very happy with this version. I actually, when we released the video initially, we were about to tour with Green Jello. And so I just wanted something new out there to represent like the new band, because up till that point, everything that was out was like me and Nola. And I'm like, I'm going out here on my own. I need to get something fresh. But I hadn't recorded the guitar yet for the song. So after we released the video, after tour, I came back and I was like, this song needs something more. So I went to Angel Nightmare's place. I did a bunch of guitar. He did a little bit of guitar. It's mostly me, but it's a mix of me and Angel. So we added the guitar to the song and then fully fleshed it out. I beefed it up more with the production. I'm very happy with it now. So this is the final mix of Batman that you will hear on the album that comes out October 14th.
That's right, folks. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, the God Bombs Batman. Oh shit. Batman, motherfuckers. That shit is fire, man. That's the new and improved version of Batman from the God Bombs. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just now tuning in to the stream, you are watching the Cybernetic Séance Podcast. I am your host, Ryan Laney, aka Ryan Frankenstein. I play that chrome-faced robot guy in the band Our Frankenstein. His name is Nexus. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in, this is episode number 10. Let me do it real quick. Had to drop the mic for that. Episode number 10. And the guest here, you know him, you love him, Justin, symbol of the God Bombs. So, Man, tell me about shooting that video though, because I know you do like most of your content aside for this coming up video. I know you had uh the homie shoot that, but for this one, looks like you were shooting that in a mausoleum.
Yeah, this video we shot, myself and Ricky Rubinson and my girlfriend Autumn. She actually shot some of it. But yeah, it was all just us at home, and that was actually some of the footage was in the living room, which is where we created the album. And
Okay.
so you see that weird like table with the mask and the crosses on it and all that shit. That was kind of like Ricky's little synth station when we were jamming for the album.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of it was shot at Hollywood Forever Cemetery.
Okay.
And yeah, that video is something that we threw together just prior to us. Like I said, I was going on tour, so I was like, I just want to get something new out here. And obviously, the song I feel like was kind of a throwback in a way. For me, it was a throwback to that like Control sound, or we kind of did it again on Candyman with the song Lust, where it's like that rolling bass line. And I don't know, I always thought like, okay, that's like the Justin Cymbal sound. So I'm like, every album needs some of that trademark kind of vibe. And so this was that for this album. I think in a way it's kind of a weird single to sort of introduce the album, because it's really the only song that sounds like that on the album. I think everything else is like more something that's not been done. I feel like
This is definitely the calmest song on the record.
Yeah. It's kind of chill. Actually, this song is influenced by dub music, and Ricky was like, "We got to get that thing where like in dub and reggae, where the delay is like cha 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 cha." Yeah, and I love that. Yeah, it's kind of just a groovy, fun like song, but it's tongue in cheek, and it's kind of silly and sardonic is the word I would use to describe it. It's a little bit sarcastic. My thought with this song is that this bad man is kind of like this killer, or this person that snaps and has gone on this rampage and done these things, is kind of like cheekily denying denying blame, kind of like, oh, I'm not going to be your bad man. Like, society made me what I am. Don't blame me.
Yeah.
That was kind of the way I was thinking of it, actually. And that's why the song ends up coming up later in the album. So I think it was kind of misleading as like a first single, but it was just important to me to get something out there. To me, like, really it begins on October 14th with Simulation, the title track, because that really is like the kickoff of the storyline here. And I hope that we'll be able to do visuals for every song and really tell the story the way it's meant to be told.
Sounds sort of like almost like a Joker story arc, like that Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really dark, twisted story arc, and yeah, it's a concept album, and it's funny because the last album we did, Supernovas, was kind of a concept album, but got a little bit lost in the sauce, I felt like, as far as like a clear storyline, because there were so many songs and so many different sounds and stuff. And then this actually really does tell a very concise story that is chronological.
Okay. No, that's it. I sort of had the same issue with my last record. I was like, we wanted to do so many different things, and then it came out so many different ways.
Right. And that's cool. I that's what Supernovas is. I liked your album. I felt like there was a connection because I had Hyper Capital.
Oh yeah.
And you're what, Hyper Cult, right?
Hyper Cult, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like
Hyper Capital's kind of culty in its
right.
reference.
And I felt like we were on the same wavelength with the musically too, because I heard that in your album and I was like, okay, there's elements of everything that we both love in both of these albums.
Yeah.
And I felt like, because with that last album, I was all over the place. I was in LA. Some of it was in LA, made in LA. Some of it was made in Colombia with Jabeth Rowe, obviously the original co-founding guitarist, keyboardist from the God Bombs. He came back as the main producer of Supernovas because he had produced Hex and Hex Deluxe. He had been really heavily involved as a main producer. So I was like, let's give some continuity here, like let's honor the legacy of the band. So we went to Columbia and worked with him for Supernovas. And I produced some of it myself, a lot of it myself, actually, in LA. And then some of it was done on the East Coast with Moises, who is an engineer that worked with Ryan Lynch, and he's worked on like Candyman and stuff like that. So we were like, okay, it's like all the heavy hitters, Angel Nightmare, me producing, Angel producing, Jabbath producing, this guy producing, that guy. But it was like so many cooks in the kitchen, and like it's like, okay, I want to be trap, and I want to be industrial metal, and I want to be punk, and I want to make a melodic thing here, and I want to make a heavy thing there. And so all that is there, and I love that. It almost sounds like a remix album. And it was like a remix album that was already a remix album that didn't need to be remixed again,
Yeah.
Like we were remixing it as we were making it. It was like really musically advanced and cool. But this album was like the opposite of all that. It was actually what I had kind of intended. It actually told a concise story. It was a stream of consciousness. It all flows together. It's like, because it's all made the same way. Me and Ricky in that room, sometimes I'm playing bass, sometimes I'm playing synth, drum machine, whatever. But it's pretty much all the same instrumentation throughout and the same people. It's not like a million people coming in and out. And that's what gives it that consistency that I was longing for. And I'm just happy because like I'm finally producing my own music. Like I said, I did pretty much 90%, 95%. And then I just needed a little bit of help at the finishing end, finishing touches there.
Yeah, you got to get that mixing, mastering, those final polishes.
And in my case, we wanted a little bit of guitar that was like more metal sounding. Like I'm like, we need something more, a little traditional here, just to kind of ground it all together, so it still feels like, all right, this is like, at the end of the day, every album I do is kind of a rock album in my head,
Yeah.
So it always ends up having guitar. Even Voidhead, when we were making it, we're like, fuck guitar, no guitar. It's going to be totally, I remember I was like, it's going to be totally electronic. I'm sick of guitars. I'm sick of all this shit. And then at the end, I always end up adding those power chords and shit, because I'm like, that's just part of my sound. It's like that 90s throwback. You have to have
need those fucking power chords, man, especially for those impactful choruses and shit.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I love that shit, like that chugging. I'm a sucker for the chug.
Oh man, I just saw Slipknot the other night and Rammstein the other week, and they're all just fucking power chords and chugging and pretty basic shit, but it's fucking, I love it. I'm a sucker for all of it.
It's classic.
Yeah, man.
I haven't heard the new Slipknot album. I need to give it a chance, give it a listen. I'm guessing it's not that great though, based on.
I gave it a listen, and there's certain tracks I come back to and certain songs I don't, and it's
like any album, I guess it'll grow, and like I'm sure there's a few songs from it that are gonna be like classics. There always are,
Yeah. I've been a Slipknot fan for years, and I'm sure that's there's no way I can deny that their influence on my band. But I have noticed a little formula they've been following these last few records. And just as someone who writes songs on my own, I'm like, okay, I'm starting to see some repetition from record to record to record, and it doesn't take a songwriter to figure that out. I just think it
seems like his heart's not really in it these days. Like he's into that CMYK or whatever the fuck it is. Because like he's in, I think he's sober and he wants to have fun and be kind of sexy and cocky and maybe flex a different side of himself that he didn't get to show artistically with Slipknot, because he had to be scary with the mask.
Yeah, you're covered up.
Yeah, and so I that's the vibe I'm getting. But I'm like a total outsider. I never had any influence from Slipknot. I don't think I ever really listened. I pretty much avoided them at all costs up until like more lately. I've become more open-minded and gone back and listened to things like that. like the new metal stuff. And it's funny because I've been compared to some stuff like that over the years, and it was like never an influence.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, as for Slipknot goes, I mean, it's not really necessarily the masks that would have influenced me. It's more the overall symbolic, deep concept. Most of that comes from Sean Crahan, who's the one of the percussionists of the band, who's the founding member, the Clown guy.
Oh, Clown. Yeah.
Clown. So Clown, I mean, for me, what has honestly kept me into Slipknot all these years is probably just Clown. I like his very abstract way of thinking and how he describes the art, or everything is art. Everything he does, everything you do in life is art. And I've always, related that to myself a lot, honestly. And if there's anyone in music who I've related to the most, it would have to be the Clown.
That's cool. I like that. I like hearing that other side of it. I have always been, I guess, intrigued by the artistry of Slipknot. Like,
yeah,
some of
doesn't come from Corey. I mean, I love Corey. He's an amazing vocalist. I'm pretty sure most of that deep concept comes from.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. I mean, it's obvious now, like with his solo stuff, that he really seems like just kind of a charismatic guy at the end of the day, like your perfect lead singer type guy. He kind of, this is going to sound funny, but he kind of reminds me of like the lead singer of The Who,
Oh, yeah.
He's kind of like a guy's guy, a man's man,
I'm wearing some fucking shit that look like the fucking lead singer of The Who would wear, honestly. These types of shirts and shit.
I love that. I love The Who. I like that. And that's so not me, it's not me as a person, but I also like that. I can appreciate that now. I feel like I can appreciate all kinds of things that I just couldn't before. And like, I'm so much more open to other things. And that's why I think it's cool that your album was also like going on and doing all those directions. Like you said, like you wanted to try out all that stuff.
Yeah. I think we really found a certain sound on a specific song. And I think with this next record that we're currently in the studio for, we're sort of expanding on that sound, referencing Inhale. And I think that was a sound where with songs like Persephone, Inhale, and even a lot of our old songs like Hunchback, I think there's something there that we're trying to expand on. And we have a producer now who we're working with, and we're trying to expand on that. And I think we're going to do something interesting for this next record. I'll send you some shit after this.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
But yeah, with that being said, on the topic of heavy shit, I want to play some old shit. I want to play some throwbacks from you, or a throwback from you. This is Atrophy from the Gad Bombs. Here we go.
More dead than alive.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Atrophy from the God Bombs. Once again, this is the last time I'm doing this. You are tuning into the Cybernetic Séance Podcast. We're on episode 10. Our guest today is Justin Simple. I am your host, Ryan Laney. I play Nexus. Here we are, baby. That was a throwback track from their full LP, Hexed Deluxe, which is like the expanded, the whole open butthole of Hex.
I love that. I love that you played that actually, because it's like a deep cut. I felt like Hex Deluxe was overshadowed in some ways just by Hex. It's the Hex EP was so good. And that was because we had always intended it to be a full album. And but because we went on tour with Ministry, we were like, again, it was the same thing as what just happened now with Badman. We were like, we have to get something new out. So we just kind of put out that Hex EP. And then we went back and expanded it. And I was glad that people got to hear some of those other songs that were like always kind of intended to be part of that first era, you know?
Yeah. I mean, they're all good songs. I really enjoy a lot of the songs on that expanded record. I'd have to say, especially the revised version of Sociopath.
Oh yeah, that was like a new mix that was done by this guy David Sisko, who's friends with Jabeth forever.
Okay,
and he's like some producer guy in New York and engineer, and has done huge records and for people and remixes and stuff. He did all the Goldfrapp music and stuff, and you know he's got some like big albums under his belt. And so they kept saying like, this is the single, this Sociopath, this is the one. And I was like, okay, whatever. He's like, I can make it more like a different, like kind of more straightforward and like really beef it up. And I was like, all right, yeah, have at it, you know, because this is Hex Deluxe. So we might as well revise the songs that were on Hex or try to improve them in some way.
Yeah.
You know, Castrate Me has an alternate mix as well.
Yeah.
Because Jabeth was like, you know, he wanted it to be more raw and kind of like just, you know, heavier, I guess, in a certain way. And so he kind of remixed it. And also the song Hex has a little slightly tweaked mix. I think the only one we didn't try to improve on the deluxe version was Low Lights, because it was so perfect. And we actually, everything we were doing was like making it worse. Don't fucking touch it. It's perfect. Like change that mix.
It's a good song. I really enjoyed Empathy, actually.
Thanks. Yeah, that was Edric. You know what's crazy with the original God Bombs, and this was Jabba's idea, and it was really brilliant. At the time, I was like, this is so fucking stupid. But he was like, we're going to be like the Beatles. We're going to have a contract. And so all the songs, like some of the songs, like it'll be like a third of the songs will be written by the individual band members on their own. And if they decide, they can involve another band member. So it's like their song. This is your song. You get to make all these decisions creatively. You get to have the say. It's your song. And then the other people just contribute a little bit, you know, they contribute their parts. That's it.
Interesting.
Other songs would be written as a group. And then other songs would be written by like two of us in pairs. And I was like, this is so like rigid. And because I'm always been a group writer. So I've always been like, let's all get in a room. And then, you know, I'm like Al Jorgensen kind of.
Yeah.
Everybody in the room. And then I'm like the Mozart or the conductor, you know. And this is so opposite of that. But that approach yielded amazing results, because Empathy was an Edric song, and I loved it. And me and Edric worked on it. Or like there would be other songs like that Jabeth like would come to us, and he was like, this is my like Breed. That was all Jabeth, you know. Castrate Me was a Jabeth song that he chose to write with me. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to focus on the lyrics, you know? And then he was like, I was like, well, what are you thinking about this? And he was like, you know, he kind of gave me a vague explanation of where he was at mentally with it. And then I was like singing, and he was like, I never would have thought of those lyrics or that concept, but it did articulate what he was saying. Just in a way, like castrate me, like cut off my fucking dick because I'm just a menace to society. You know, like that was an extreme interpretation of what he was telling me he was feeling. So it was a lot of collaboration in really cool, creative ways. And Sociopath was the song that we all wrote as a group.
That has to be my favorite on the whole record, if I'm being honest.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite as well because it's so spontaneous, and like the lyrics was like a freestyle rap that I did. This Mark Zuckerberg shit, you know, because I was like, I was kind of awakening to a lot of things that I thought were happening. Like I realized like everyone was hating themselves and so miserable because we were being told like that we're nothing, and that this social media was kind of manipulating everybody into like being divided along these different opinions and these different hashtags, these different buzzword, like bandwagon kind of political movements that you're either supposed to be part of or against, and then kind of pitting one another against each other, and like and kind of the thought process that we're not good enough because we're constantly comparing ourselves to like a better version of us that we can see on Instagram, on Twitter, on social media. It's like right in front of us, you know? And it's like, I kind of was like really awakening to a lot of things with that record and those lyrics. It just kind of all happened, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's an interesting thing. Cause a lot of people in life don't become self-aware. That's unfortunate, at least.
Well, that's painful. Like in Kabbalah, they would say that like those people, like maybe those of us who are really working on ourselves and are kind of awakening to our own inner truths, even some of our own dark inner truths, like our own shadow selves and stuff, like those of us who are confronting those realities and trying to grow, like we're people that have maybe come around and you know, been through life a few more times, you know, because we do believe in reincarnation in Kabbalah.
Yes.
You know, and so maybe other people that seem more basic or a little bit more like you don't see like an arc for them, those people maybe haven't gone, you know, around as much and faced as much, you know. But I think like those of us who are awake, we just have to realize like we've come through a lot, and like the it's about the journey. I know it's cliche, but it is the journey. It's not the destination. Nothing like nobody in this world is living their perfect reality. Even Elon Musk, the richest person in the world, right? He's not in his ideal version at all of probably what he envisions or what he wants. You know, nobody is. So it's all progress rather than like this ideal of perfection that everyone's chasing, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Man, she got real deep there for a second. Well, I will have to say, I have to end it here on this note because we are ending Jesus Christ, here we are again. We are nearing the end of the show.
Awesome.
I know you have places to go, places to be.
I'm going to see Guar.
Fucking Guar?
Oh, yeah.
Fucking Guar. Man, I want to go see Guar. Where are they playing tonight?
Where are they playing? The Belasco.
Belasco. Man.
Classy up in that bitch, yo. We getting classy up in Guar.
You gonna get classy for Guar? You're not in the front row though.
I'm gonna go I'm gonna wear something white and just get covered in slime.
Oh fuck yeah. Fucking Blothar come. Just fucking I actually watched that. Have you seen that documentary on Shudder?
No. Of Guar?
Yeah. There's actually a documentary on Shudder called This Is Guar, and it's actually a documentary on the beginning of their career up until this point.
That's so cool.
It's really insightful because it without spoiling it too much, it kind of goes into the community that is behind Guar, and it's more of an art collective than it is a rock band. It's an art collective behind the rock band is the guys for this fucking production team that's putting on this show. Right. And so I mean, every time I've seen them, it's been awesome. And I really just appreciate the artists or craftsmanship that goes behind that whole fucking thing. Like, they're offending people, but there's so much thought put into everything.
Yeah, that's OG shock rock right there. I have to go like pay homage to the forefathers, and like obviously shock rock, quote unquote, is also an influence. So I'm interested in like seeing some of the greats doing it tonight, and like, yeah, I like the art collective idea. That's what Green Jello is like too. And touring with them definitely, and just being a part of What the Fuck TV. I know you did that. You played on it too.
I was on it a few times. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like influential because it's like a modern day art collective kind of performance art thing, troupe, I mean, and that's what Throbbing Gristle came out of too, with like Come Transmissions and shit. Like industrial started like that too. So it's dope. Full circle, baby.
Yeah, man. It's all I love something. There's something about a community of people coming together to create something magical.
Yeah.
There's just nothing else about it. I will say with Guar though, it is a special show every time I see them. So I can't deny it's always a good time.
Awesome.
With that being said though, before you head out to see Guar, I don't think Sleazy is part of the show on this tour, but where can people find you? How can people get a hold of you or listen to your music or whatever the fuck they want to stalk you? Or
I mean, other than stalking, I want all of that, because like I want to emphasize I do a lot of things. So I have the best thing is, Instagram, StarDaddy777 on Instagram. There's a link tree on there that really has links to everything. I'm on YouTube. Just look for the God Bombs on YouTube. We do album reviews. A lot of content that's like reviews and stuff. And of course, I also do, the God Bombs music, which you can search the God Bombs on Spotify, across all streaming platforms. And also I do OnlyFans. I do adult content, which is available OnlyFans/StarDaddy666. If you have to censor that part, it's cool. It's in the link tree either way. But, I do want to plug
that link tree.
Rep that link tree, yo. I do a lot of different stuff, and I want everyone to check it out. We're on Instagram, the God Bombs, and TikTok. I have my StarDaddy666 TikTok, which is like more BBW themed, and it's mostly me and my girlfriend Autumn. And then it's a little bit more like sexy, And then I have my God Bombs Instagram for, of course, the God Bombs music. We keep it about the art and the music with the God Bombs. That is the musical brand. So if you're here for the music, that's where you go. And then the other stuff, all that other craziness is like the more personal shit, So whatever you're into, check it out.
Hell yeah, man. Justin Symbol of the God Bombs, man. It's been a pleasure. Before we hop off on the show tonight, I still have a little bit of plugging to do. This is the last week you assholes are going to have to hear about this, because next Saturday we have our first live show back from coming back from the Road to Hell tour with Cyclone 9 and 7 Factor. Ladies and gentlemen, we're playing at Club Terminal. We're doing a special headlining gig. We got my boy Vincent from the Androgen opening up. I believe he's got Angel on guitars for this night. So that'll be an interesting show. It's kind of sort of like a OG Androgen lineup, which is cool because he's an OG Frankenstein guitar player. Be an awesome thing. It's probably one of the rarer occasions if you guys are trying to come out and see something like this. Definitely come out to this show. We also got DJs Terminal, Revenant, and Terror coming, spinning the shit, keeping the mood pumping that night. It's gonna be a real cool show. We're gonna play some newer songs off of Hypercult. That way he didn't play on tour. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. As well, let me get this shit out of here. As well, we are also still doing the merch. We got some new merch coming for the winter and fall season pretty soon, but that's storefrontier.com/Our Frankenstein. As you can see, as the old ticker tape comes by, goodbye, friend. Here we go. I'm watching him go. And you're out of here. Whoa. Look at this. I don't even know how to do anything. Oh, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for tuning in to episode number 10 of the Cybernetic Séance Podcast. I am your host, Ryan Laney. Thank you again to Justin Symbol. Awesome, man. This has been an awesome show. Thank you for everyone who's tuned in. We'll be back next week at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Wednesday. Every fucking week until I die. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.